Ladies and gentlemen, I am Tony Chimmel, and welcome to Road Trip After Hours. Please welcome your hosts, Mac Davis and WWE Hall of Famer, Teddy Long. Holler!
Hello, everybody. I'm Mac Davis, and with me right now is my co-host, Mr. WWE Hall of Famer, holla, holla, Teddy Long. How you doing, Teddy?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. I tell you what, you always you never seem to amaze me. Now it's a myth there.
Look, there was a lot going on since our last show here on Road Trip After Hours. And one of those things that has really kind of popped up in the news just in the last couple of days as we're recording this, Teddy, CM Punk has made it known he wants back into wrestling. He wants to go back to AEW. What are your thoughts?
Well, I just, I don't. It's hard to say, man. You know what I mean? I wish, somebody would, these people need to make up their mind. You know what I mean? If you're gonna do this, do it. If you're not, then let it go. Let's get all the drama out of the way, all these shoot promos and, all this crazy stuff. And if you want to go back, then go back. Let's sell tickets, draw some money, man, and have a good time. That's the way I look at it.
I haven't understood exactly why they haven't been able to work things out in the beginning or throughout this entire ordeal. And really, I think it comes down to just egos. It's just egos in the back. Guys, this is a business. You can make big money right now if you put your egos to the side and give the fans what they really want to see, which would really be a great angle and something that AEW desperately needs at this point, in my opinion.
Well, my thing too, I think what, maybe kind of frustrates Punk a little bit, Punk's from the old school, man. He knows this in and out, you know what I mean? And he understands, the respect that, you're supposed to get in this business and how you're supposed to treat the business, take care of it. This is your livelihood. And right now, there's a lot of young talent in the business, they, not that they're trying to do it, but they just don't understand. They really just don't know, how this really works, and I think by them not knowing, then they don't have the respect for the business that guys like Punk and myself and you had, not only back in the day, as of this day, I still come in the locker room and walk around and shake everybody's hand, that's just the way I was taught. So, and I think that kind of frustrates Punk to see some of the young guys, do the business and just do stuff that shouldn't be done.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just don't think they don't know any better, and like now, times have changed. So they're not guys that are willing to really sit down and talk with some of the young talent, and explain to them, hey, here's how you're supposed to conduct yourself. Here's, how this works, and I think that's what we're missing. If anything, there needs to be a job for a veteran or somebody that knows and understands. That needs to just be his job, just be when new young guys come in, sit down, have a talk with them. You know what I mean? Take a, and let them explain to them, what your role is here, what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? And so they will know, because like I said, a lot of things I see some of the young guys do, they just don't know any better. And then as soon as they go back, the guy, oh, good job, great job, instead of being honest and telling them the truth.
Correct. I agree with that. Look, something else is kind of hot right now on Facebook, Teddy. I want to get your opinion on, excuse me. There's been this uproar about taking pictures with other wrestlers in the back or just anywhere. You shouldn't take pictures with wrestlers because it makes you a mark.
Well, that's old school stuff too. You know what I mean? How does that make you a mark? You just want to, you see the guy that you have been seeing and watching on TV all your life. Now you get the opportunity to be up close to him, for the first time in your life. Why wouldn't you want a picture? So, that's just, some people have, there's a lot of people, some guys I know right now still do it. Some of the old school guys in the business. Come on, man, don't be marking out. You know what I mean? So it's just something that's kind of hard to get away from. You know what I mean? You got to change with the times now. So I think if you don't want to take a picture with some of the fans, then there's something got to be, something's wrong with you. These are the people that are the reason why you're here.
Now, what about some of the other workers, though? I mean, suppose, you're in the back and you come across somebody you haven't seen in a long time. You're okay with that, aren't you?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I took pictures with a lot of the guys when I went back to did Raw 30. Some of the talent they had,
Yeah.
come up and talk to me, and I took pictures with them. So yeah, what's the problem?
See, I don't understand what the problem is, and I just had to get your opinion on that because too many times, and I'll be honest with you, early on, I didn't take pictures with a lot of people because I was afraid to ask for that picture, and I didn't want to come across as a mark.
Yeah.
But here's the truth when it comes to mark, and I hate that word in a lot of ways. We're all marks. I mean, not a single one of us in this business is not a mark. Every single one of us is, because that's what brought us into the business.
We're a mark for something. Okay,
Yes.
it may not be a mark for wrestling, may not be but we're a mark for ourselves.
Absolutely. Hey, by the way, Teddy, you got something coming up in a little bit with Ernest the Cat Miller. Had a chance to speak with him in Los Angeles, and we talked about his help in making that movie and trying to help Nicolas Cage. And for those of you kind of scratching your head and wondering, wait a minute, Nicolas Cage wasn't in that movie. Originally, he was supposed to be in that movie. And we'll talk about that in that little interview coming up in just a few minutes. But real quick, I want to bring up something else. Buff Bagwell. I did an interview with Buff. That's somebody else I was in Los Angeles with and had a chance to talk to. And I put the interview out there, had a lot of people comment on that particular interview. And most of it, unfortunately, was negative. Negative towards the fact that he's trying to get himself clean. Negative towards the fact that he has a goal of being in the Hall of Fame one day. And to me, it really got all over me when I started reading those comments. I didn't respond to a single one. I just kept my mouth shut. But here's the problem. Everybody, I don't care who you are, where you're from, everybody deserves a second chance, if not a third, fourth, or fifth chance. Everybody has a right to try to get themselves together and get it right. And that bothered me quite a bit when I saw those comments coming in on Buff Bagwell, because the man that I saw that particular day, and I know he's been through ups and downs throughout his entire time in wrestling, because I've been there. I've seen a lot of those personally myself, because I've known him for that long, since he got into WCW. But his eyes were clear. His mind was sharp. He was not the Buff Bagwell that I have seen for many, many years. He was much different. And I'm telling you, this guy's really giving it a shot. And I hope everybody else will back him instead of bash him.
Well, let me explain that. Let me explain why you got all the negative comments. Let me explain that to you. Buff Bagwell, congratulations. Love him to death. Had a chance to speak with him, I guess, a couple of months ago. Me and him was on an indie show together. And I had a chance, once I saw that he was trying to do the right thing and was really serious this time. And I could tell, and he started talking to me. Then I shared something with him that I'm going to share in the book when I do the book, but my drug addiction, you know what I mean? And he looked at me and he said, wow. He said, I never knew that. I said, yeah, I never know you didn't know, because I never told it to anybody. But I've said, now I want to share that with you, because now I believe you're ready. And I could tell that. And so I'm going to say congratulations to him, and, God bless him. He's kind of got God on his side now, and DDP is working with him. But I don't care how much DDP works with him or anybody. You have to want to do this yourself. Yeah. Nobody can stop you but you. And so that's what Bagwell has realized, that I'm the only person that puts this poison into my body. That's what I said to myself when I came off of my addiction. I said, if this stuff don't get in my mouth, if I don't put it there, it don't get there. So you have to want to do this as a human being. You have to come and get in touch with yourself and say, hey, I've had enough. I want to live. Just God help me. So what I do, and another thing too, on my other thing is this, the reason I stay in the gym and try to take care of myself is because God has gave me another chance. Yep. If people really knew what I come from. So by him keeping me alive, then the way that I stay in the gym, that's how I help God. If you're going to keep me alive, then let me help you out. So Bagwell understands now, God has got him, he's ready. Yep. And the negative is coming from people. Bagwell has tried this over 3 or 4 times. Yep. And he's failed. And when people believe, okay, I think he's going to do it this time, he let them down. So now what he has to do, he has to build their confidence back. He has to stay clean long enough to let these negative people know, oh God, I'm sorry. Yeah, he's real this time. So that's why you're getting the negative, because they're thinking they're going to see the same thing that they've been seeing in the past as him. Oh yeah, I'm getting clean now. And the next thing you know, he's relapsed again. Yeah. But I believe in him this time. I believe it's there, and I think he's going to. In fact, I know he's going to make it. So once he's out there long enough, and the people see, then the negative will come down, and maybe some apologies too.
Yeah, well, I hope that's the case because, I called him out when we did the interview. By the way, if you want to catch this interview we're talking about, it's available at Sportskeeda Wrestle Binge on YouTube, and you'll find some of those links on my page as well as Teddy's page. But when I did the interview, the one thing I brought up to him was that I remember the last time he used. And that was a show you and I both attended. And I told him that, and he gave me that little grin, and he knew I nailed him. And the whole thing was, we knew then, just by looking at him, he's not right yet. He's not where he needs to be. He was hanging around the wrong people that particular evening too, which was a key sign. And it was nice to see that the next day, Dallas got a hold of him and said, nope, this isn't working this way. And he got him back on the right track. But I do see a difference, just like you do, Teddy, well, and I believe everybody deserves a second chance.
Well, it's like I said, he's hanging around the wrong people. He's let people down. That night, like you said, when me and you were there, we saw him. It was already out then that he was supposed to have been getting himself straightened out. And we look up, there he is with the same people. So that's what I mean. He let them down. He keeps letting people down so they don't believe him anymore. So now he has to start all over again, and he has to make you believe now, and he has to stay clean long enough to people to see, oh, well, wow, yeah, man, now, yeah, he's telling the truth. He's on. It's like Jake. Yes. Jake had relapses, you know what I mean? Same thing. But Jake finally stayed clean long enough to now they believe Jake. Jake believes Jake. Jake knows he's right now. He's ready. Yep. So that's what's got to happen with Bagwell. He's got to just stay clean long enough for the people to say, okay, we got you, player. We believe you.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have for this first part of the show. We got to take a quick break. And in this break, I will throw you the interview that we had with Ernest the Cat Miller. It's an interesting interview. So hang on. And coming up next, it'll be Ask Teddy.
This is my livelihood. This is the way I make my living. Day in, day out. Live on the end of a lightning bolt.
The International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. Home of living legends and legends lost. Memories and moments. Coast to coast and around the world, wrestling history lives here.
It's match, 1 fall, 1 hour time limit for the NWA World Heavyweight title.
From the carnivals to the bright lights of Madison Square Garden.
Ric Flair, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Ric Flair, in that $35,000 belt. And of course, it's for all the gold coming up.
Professional wrestling, home of childhood memories. The heroes and villains of the Squared Circle. The International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. Home of living legends and legends lost.
everybody. For Sportskeeda Wrestling, I'm Mac Davis. With me right now, Ernest the Cat Miller. How you doing, brother?
Mac, you got a great voice, man.
Too many years of radio.
Oh, you sound good, man. You sound good. I love it. But, hey, I'm doing great.
Look, I watched The Wrestler the other day, and, of course, I've seen it before, but you had a lot of work in there. You worked with the star itself.
You know what? It's so funny that you brought that up. You know, that movie right there was a great movie. Did some great things for me. Told a great story that I was able to get into because of my background in wrestling and karate, being on the road. And Mickey Rourke was just a hell of an actor to work for. And Darren Aronofsky was a great director. So,
what did you train Mickey?
I did not train Mickey. I trained with, kind of funny, before Mickey came in, it was with Nicolas Cage. Yep. Nicolas Cage was playing the part that Mickey was playing. Now I trained him somewhere. Was he any good? Let's just see. Let's talk more about Mickey Rourke. Yeah. Mickey Rourke came in and blew it out. He blew it out, man. He took it to the next level. Let's talk more about let's talk more about making the movie. It was hard making the movie because we had to work and do spots over and over again to where, like, at the end of the day, man, it's like I had nothing else to give,
How did you get into WCW? Because you were not a wrestler originally. You were actually into martial arts, right?
Well, I wasn't just into martial arts. I was playing in NFL, played a little NFL football. I went back into martial arts. I started kickboxing. Then I started teaching. Teaching is my love. Everybody know me. I love teaching martial arts. And then, one of my students happened to be the son of Eric Bischoff. And I got to know Eric a little bit during the time we were teaching, and he brought me into the business.
Nowadays, you're doing a podcast, I hear.
Man, I'm doing a podcast, The Cat's Corner. Make sure you listen to it. Be on the lookout for it. We're going to have all the superstars, not just wrestlers. We're going to have actors. We're going to have doctors. We're going to just have regular old guys walking the street who have a story. So, look out for The Cat's Corner.
You're looking out for it. Ernest the Cat Miller, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Road Trip After Hours. I'm Mac Davis, and I'm with WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long. Teddy, I enjoyed that interview with Ernest.
Well, let me tell you something about Ernest the Cat. A lot of people wouldn't have thought Ernest, would really be involved in stuff, that was with Mickey Rourke and movie The Wrestler and all that. But Ernest is a smart guy. He teaches karate. He does a lot of things for the kids and stuff in the community, and he stays positive. So, for Ernest to have that opportunity to be involved in that, man, congratulations to him.
Yeah. And there's a movie I'm trying to find out, and I sent a message out and I have not heard back, but he did a movie recently with Ray Lloyd.
They did it at Face to Face. They rented the Face to Face when that school was in.
Yeah, I think it's called The Replaceables, I believe, and it's about aliens coming down and they're fighting aliens or something. It's supposed to be kind of a spoof kind of comedy thing, but I haven't seen where it's available yet, and I think it's got to be coming out soon.
Yeah, well, I remember they did that down there.
That's funny. All right, here we go, guys. It's time to reach inside the mailbag, not inside. We're going to go inside the mailbag.
Oh, you just listen. Just go ahead. Go ahead. Don't worry about
it. And we're going to find out what you want to ask Teddy.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day. Mail today. Reach right in and pull one out. Those letters, I love those letters. Let's find out what you got to say.
Oh boy!
Mailman, mail today.
All right, Teddy, here we go. Question number 1 comes from Jason in Minnesota, and he asks, what makes a great manager in wrestling?
Well, I guess number 1, he needs to be able to talk. Number 2, he needs to know when to talk. Number 3, when he's out there, with whoever he's managing, he needs to know where his place is so that he doesn't take away from the wrestler.
Yep.
And just kind of keep your ears open and listen and just pay attention.
Well, let me ask you, Teddy, when they come to you and say, hey, Teddy, we need you to manage so-and-so, in more cases than not, the manager's being used to help prop up the particular talent that maybe is not quite mic ready yet, or even etiquette wise, how to come out, how to work with the fans as they walk the ramp, and even in the ring and calling some shots. Is that all in a day's work for a manager?
Well, yeah, pretty much. Sometimes, they put the manager with a guy that they feel, that needs to, that he does have some good mic skills. He's not, doesn't really, sound good on the mic. So they may have a guy like myself or whatever, whoever the managers are, Paul Heyman, guys that can speak, you know what I mean, and speak for them. Sometimes, they just there's just a deal where a manager just fits there. There should be a manager there, and that sometimes the guy's thrown in it for that particular reason. But basically, managers are really, are there to really help the guys, whoever they're with. You know what I mean? Because everybody's on the same page. So, that's not an easy job.
Was Vince a fan of managers? Because they've kind of faded away out of sight now. You don't really see many managers anymore. We had a lot of great ones during the time that I was growing up, but it seems like they kind of just faded away over time. There's only a handful now.
Well, I guess, everything changes, you know what I mean? Like, the authority figures, that all that's gone too. There's no GMs and none of that. So, I guess, time changes and they move on with something else. But, you can't get away from what brought you to the dance. You know what I mean? You can tweak it, but you can't get away from it. So, but, hey, man, it is what it is.
I hear you. RJ in Philadelphia wants to know, what is the biggest difference between Eric Bischoff and Vince McMahon?
Well, I don't really. Well, I mean, Vince, we're talking about, one of the greatest promoters and, of all time. You know what I mean? Vince has had the experience of a lifetime. His father started this profession. He followed right in his father's footsteps, so Vince has the experience. And I don't think that Eric Bischoff, great guy, don't get me wrong, I love Eric to death, but Eric just doesn't have the experience that Vince has, you know what I mean, for this business. And the way we can go back to that is when they had the war there, when all the WWE guys, WWF at that time, was coming over to WCW, they thought that they was going to ruin Vince and put him out of business. Well, things did fall for a minute, but then all Vince did was just sit back and play the game. And the next thing you knew, every one of them that went down there went right back to Vince.
What were the people skills like between Vince and Eric? Was Eric a more friendly, talkative guy in the back than Vince?
Well, yeah, Eric was a nice guy to talk to sometime. Eric, all guys that in positions like Vince and Eric, you know what I mean, you're gonna be, frustrated at times because shit ain't gonna go right sometimes. So you're gonna run into some arguments and some frustration. So, but Eric was all, good to talk to. Vince, sometime now you have to kind of wait a minute before you talk to him, or either he just dive right into you right away. Ooh. So, but if you've done something wrong, you just be a man and just, admit to whatever it was and just, hey, this won't happen again, but don't go in there trying to act like you ain't did nothing when you done something. You're going to argue with the man. That's the wrong thing.
Yes. All right, let's see. Michael in Florida asks, who was the hardest person you had to work with and why?
Let's see. I don't really think I had anybody hard to work with. I kind of...
I can think of one right now off the top of my head.
Who would that be?
Sid.
Who?
Sid Vicious.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, that was oil and water right there, wasn't
it? Yeah. Oh, I forgot about Sid. Sid wasn't so really too hard to work with. You know what I mean? He was just a character, man. So yeah. Oh man, yeah, Sid. He was too much, man. What did he do? He put something on Twitter one time about me. Say I wasn't smoking weed. I was smoking stems or something. He said, I
don't know. Let's see. Carmen in Arizona writes, "What was your worst experience in your wrestling career?"
God, my worst experience in my wrestling career. I don't know.
Something pretty big.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I really, had nothing, no bad experience in the business. Only thing maybe might have been my worst experience is probably when I left. I came home. My wife got sick, and so I came home, and not being able to do what I've done for so many years and stuff. So I guess that was kind of the worst experience is having to leave.
And I could imagine that actually being the case. Let's see. Yeah. Valerie in Washington asked, who was the most overlooked talent and who was the most overblown during your time in wrestling?
I think the most overlooked guy was Dolph Ziggler. Dolph was an incredible worker, which still is now, and like I said, I believe, if I'm right, Pat Patterson, who was, God rest his soul, who was certainly a genius in this business, and we worked behind the scenes a whole lot, and a lot of finishes and stuff Pat gave. And Pat was the one that kind of, discovered Dolph and really, I think, spoke up for him and got him that shot where they put the world title on him. Yeah, so I think Dolph was the most, one that didn't use, but he was just a small guy. And like I said, Vince, he ain't really too high on small guys.
I can imagine Dolph would have been huge in AEW had he come along at the time of AEW, because they have their roster is smaller in stature, and he would have blended in very well there because he could have fit size to size with a lot of guys, and he wouldn't look so small compared to the ones that he has in WWE. But like you say, Dolph has had the ability to make you believe all the time. The best bumper in the business for the last 20 years, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know of anybody that can bump like Dolph. And he's just an incredible talent. But what about one of the most overblown talents?
Overblown.
I know a lot of people at one time would say the Ultimate Warrior, was overblown. He was just more of a gimmick than he was anything else.
Well, during my time, you know what I mean? I think, everybody was right at that level. I don't think, there was nobody that was overblown. I mean, everybody was, was right, right on the line there.
Was there ever a time when you, in your early days in NWA, WCW, where you wondered, how did this guy get a damn job?
Yeah, I did say that, but like I said, I'm not a promoter, so they see things that I don't see. It's been that.
All right, I'm gonna make you a booker now, Teddy. Brantley in Charlotte wants to know. This is our last question, too, by the way. Brantley in Charlotte is asking Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. How would you book it?
Well, I mean, I don't understand what it means and how it's already booked if it's Cody and Brock Lesnar.
I guess talking about the actual match itself. How would you let that match play out?
Well, I don't know. I think I wouldn't get a winner right out of that first match there. Maybe I'd get a DQ somewhere with Brock, maybe have him do something, that's related. And since they did the merger, may have him do something that's related to UFC. Yep. Which is outlawed in professional wrestling. You can't do that. You know what I mean? Now you ding, 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 you get the bell there.
Yep. Yeah, I'd still go back. I wish Cody had whatever happened at WrestleMania. I kind of wish that it would have ended maybe even the way they had it, and still Nick Aldis would have showed up and said, surprise, I'm here. And I'm ready to kick your ass again, because we need round 3 of that rubber match between those two. I just kept waiting for that to happen. I kept thinking, the moment's right. This is when Nick needs this job. This is when WWE needs him. And I think he'd be a perfect fit.
Yeah, I've always put him over, man. Great guy, and I mean, hell of a worker. So, like I said, in this business here, it doesn't happen when we want it to happen. Yep. But I'm pretty sure that they see Nick Aldis, they know that he's out there, and I think when the time is right, he's going to get that call.
Teddy, we are out of time. Actually, I think we may have run over a little bit. I'm sorry, but anyhow. That's okay. Look, we got, I know SICW, that big fan fest is coming up on May 13th. It's a Saturday, and it's going to be a great weekend. And I'm telling you, there's nearly 50 names that will be there for you to get autographs, pictures, memorabilia, have a great time, see some wrestling, and you'll get to see myself and Teddy.
And yeah, and we'll be doing our podcast, Road Trip After Hours. We'll be live right there with it, so you fans can come on by and and visit with us and talk to us and everything. And we're just gonna have a blast.
Get your tickets right now, SICW.org. And of course, we have another Hall of Fame that's coming up towards the end of the year. We'll be telling you more about that as well. In fact, it may have been a commercial just a little bit earlier. You probably heard about it. So anyhow, I'm Mac Davis. Yes, sir.
Well, before we go, let me let everybody know that tomorrow night I'm going to be in Greenville, South Carolina at the Greenville Convention Center for the big Greenville Comic Con. And wanted everybody to know this. Before we came on here live talking to you, Mac, I was on the phone with legendary promoter Tony Hunter and Jeff Hardy. So Jeff Hardy is going to be a part of that. I'll be right next to him right there. So that's on Saturday right there in Greenville, South Carolina at the Convention Center, big Greenville Comic Con. I'll see you guys there.
Sounds great. I'm Mac Davis. That's WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long. And this has been Road Trip After Hours.
Holla.